Chapter 8. We woke up early again in the morning and got on our way. I rode beside Philly, who spent the longest time talking to me about the past novels he had read. He told me about the far-off worlds he wished to visit and how he hoped to one day have someone to share the adventures with. I never took him for such a romantic. It was nice to see this side of him. The rain started about an hour into our walk and didn't seem to show any indication of stopping. "Mr. Gandalf," Dory spoke up from the back of the group, "can't you do something about this deluge?" "It is raining, Master Dwarf. And it will continue to rain until the rain is done. If you wish to change the weather of the world, you should find yourself another wizard," Gandalf told the poor dwarf. "Are there any? Other wizards, that is?" Bilbo asked Gandalf, pulling his horse up beside Gandalf's. "There are 5 us. The greatest of our order is Saruman, the White. Then there are the 2 blue wizards. Do you know, I've quite forgotten their names," he told Bilbo. Boffer trotted up beside me. "Who's the 5th, Gandalf?" I asked him before I started my conversation with Boffer. "That would be Radagast, the Brown." He nodded to me. "And is he a great wizard, or is he more like you?" Bilbo asked. Boffer and I giggled quietly and Gandalf looked at Bilbo annoyed. "I think he's a very great wizard, in his own way. He's a gentle soul who prefers the company of animals to others. He keeps a watchful eye over the vast forest lands to the east," he responded proudly. The company snickered to themselves as we continued walking. Boffer took the time to tell me a bit about all the dwarves. Who was related to who and who knew Thorin before Smaug took over the Lonely Mountain. I liked learning about the company, and when it was my turn to share, the group was happy to listen. I talked about my life with Bilbo as a child and what it was like to grow up in Bag End. As the sun started to set and the rain came to a stop, I noticed I had yet to share any words with the leader of our company, so when I saw my chance, I took it. "Hey," I said as Arrow trotted alongside his horse. He ignored me, not looking away from the path ahead. "Quite the weather we are having, huh?" I tried to make conversation. "Do you need something from me?" he asked, looked towards me with frustration. "Just trying to make conversation," I said, rolling my eyes but staying beside him. "Can't you do that with another dwarf?" he asked dismissively. "I've talked to the other dwarves. You are the only one I haven't talked to." Go bother someone else." I opened myself to retort, but he trotted ahead before I could say anything. "Pay him no mind. Remember what I said last night. Give him some time to warm up to you," Boffer said. I sighed in defeat and looked down at my horse. "Any chance we are stopping soon? Arrow can't walk much longer," I called ahead to an annoyed Thorin. "We will camp here," Thorin said, veering to the left towards a small run-down farmhouse. I widened my eyes in surprise. My tiredness was messing with my senses. "Philly, Keely, look after the ponies," he told the brothers, who responded with a nod. Gandalf walked around the small property with a worried look on his face. "I think it would be wiser to move on. We could make for the Hidden Valley," he told the group. I rolled my eyes. There was no way I was walking anymore. A tired burglar is a dead burglar, so they would have to carry me out. "I told you already I will not go near that place," Thorin said. The 2 argued some more, but I paid them no mind. Bilbo walked over to me and it occurred to me then that I hadn't spoken to him much of the day. "Hey," I said quietly, almost shamefully. "Hey. Big day, huh? The first day on the road. I wonder what they are thinking back home. Do they even know we are gone?" I asked him, sitting down. "I am not sure," he said honestly. "It's fun being out here with you. I noticed you are getting closer with that Boffer." He nudged my ribs. I rolled my eyes, laughing. "We are friends. I am hoping to get closer. I feel like we could be really good friends. He's funny and kind." I smiled. We were interrupted by Gandalf walking away from Thorin in anger, and we both stood up quickly. "Everything all right? Gandalf, where are you going?" Bilbo asked, worried. "To seek the company of the only one around here who's got any sense," Gandalf replied angrily. "And who's that?" Bilbo questioned. "Myself, Mr. Baggins. I've had enough of dwarves for one day," Gandalf said, looking back at Thorin before walking out of sight. I glanced at Thorin, who caught my eye before yelling at Bombay to make food. "Not this time, Mr. Dwarf Lord." "What was that about?" I asked him. The dwarves around us paused, surprised I was so confident with an angry, tired, and annoyed Thorin. "None of your concern." He dismissed me. "Excuse me, mister, I'm better than everyone here. I would like to know what's going on. The only one I know and trust is Gandalf, so what did you do that caused such an outburst?" He looked at me in surprise and I refused to back down. I stood up a little straighter and he leaned down to my height. He put his hands on my upper arms and slowly leaned his lips towards my ear. "When you need to know something, trust me, you will be told. But until then, don't forget your place, Hobbit," he whispered before standing up and turning around to face the other dwarves, who quickly busied themselves. Bomber was instructed with soup making as I stood frozen in my place. I let out a shaky breath and looked over at Boffer, who gave me 2 thumbs up. I wrapped my hands around my arms and slowly walked towards Boffer, who held out an empty bowl for the upcoming soup. After about an hour, everyone was passing around bowls of hot stew. "He's been gone a long time," Bilbo said, worried. "Who?" Boffer asked from his seat beside me. "Gandalf. He's a wizard. He does as he chooses. Here. Do us a favor, take this to the lads," Boffer said with a grin on his face. He poured 2 bowls of stew and handed them to Bilbo. "Bring these to the lads, will you?" As Bilbo walked away, he turned to me. "You guys are so different." "In what way?" I asked, my mouth full of food. "You seem to be the calmer of the two." Bilbo has always been paranoid. "We got into lots of mischief as children, and one day I almost drowned while playing in a river. We weren't listening to our parents' instructions and warnings, and since then it feels like Bilbo is 10 times more cautious than he used to be." "It's great that you guys are so close though." He smiled. I nodded back. The company got silent. I stole glances at Thorin, who did nothing but stare at the hills and valleys ahead. I wanted to talk to him again. Tell him to shove his opinion up his ass, but my courage had faded away. The way he had called me a hobbit as if it was a slur was enough to keep me seated. "Trolls." Keely panted out of breath, tearing through the woods. "And they took Bilbo," Philly finished. The company looked at Thorin for guidance, and he met my pleading gaze. It didn't matter how much he hated me, he wouldn't let Bilbo die, would he? "Let's go after them," he told the group. We all tore through the woods, getting quieter as we approached the troll camp. We got there in time to hear Bilbo lying about the amount of us with him. Keely broke cover. "Drop him," he demanded. "You what?" one of the trolls said. I said, "Drop him." Keely smirked, holding his sword at the ready. The troll threw Bilbo at Keely, who caught him as the rest of the dwarves jumped out of the trees. "Best you stay here, lass," Balin told me with a hand on my shoulder. "No, I want to fight," I said, full of energy. "It's best you stay here. Until we train you with a sword, let's work on keeping you alive," he told me before running in to join the action. In minutes 2 of the trolls were holding Bilbo by his arms and legs. "Lay down your arms, or we'll rip his off." The group looked to Thorin for guidance. Thorin plunged his weapon down and the rest followed. The trolls tied them into brown sacks, and the dwarves, and Bilbo, looked defeated. I waved my arms frantically to get Bilbo's attention, and after a few minutes he saw me. I pointed to the sky, which was starting to change color, then back to the trolls, then made an exploding signal with my hands. I was trying to show him that the sun would come up soon and turn them to stone. He nodded discreetly and started to buy time. What we needed was Gandalf.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!